Anitra, hello.
Hey guys, welcome back to Say What Reacts. We're back again with another Ateez storyline reaction. Carlos has never seen these songs in the storyline, and I've got to catch him up because he's missed like the last year or so. So we just finished reacting to Crazy Form.
Yep.
And we're now on Not Okay. And after Crazy Form, we get Crescent, part 2, little spoiler at the end of Crazy Form. And we know that there was promo around that time that said back to A. So we can assume we're back to A. At some way, shape, or form, we're back in World A. At least that's what we think, right? And then Not Okay came out. If I'm not wrong, Not Okay is a Japanese single. It is, yeah, a Japanese single. So yeah, let's go ahead. Let's jump in. I'm so excited for him to see this because I feel like it has so much storyline. It's crazy. I'll put a pause warning on the screen, but I've already seen it, so I probably won't need to pause. He usually is good with just watching through and then giving his thoughts at the end. But we'll pause if we need to, so I'll put it on the screen just in case. But yeah, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, let's go. Okay, so trauma, now a deep, distressing, or disturbing experience. Personal trauma like the death of a child. 2, medicine. Physical injury, rupture of the diaphragm caused by blunt trauma. I want to pause so bad.
Why?
Because I want to point out certain things, but we can watch it through a second time.
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
Oh my God, there's so much going
there
on.
Is, yeah.
Ah, I love it. Oh my God. Okay. I'm gonna put it on mute, and I'm just gonna hit play again.
Okay.
That way, as you're talking, we can like point out certain things and like pause on certain things.
Yeah.
Okay, so tell me your thoughts.
Well, I feel like this group of Ateez, like they there's a lot of movies you haven't seen.
There's so many movies I haven't seen.
But specifically when it comes to
pause
like
on his face, it's fine.
when it comes to like these things, you know what I'm saying? And it's just like, I know you've never seen A Lawnmower Man. Have you seen The Matrix yet? Probably not.
No.
Have you seen...
I do have a Patreon where I watch movies now. Maybe I should finally watch The Matrix.
Yeah. You should let me do that with you.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, because you're probably just going to watch movies that are irrelevant to like... to the things, you know what I'm saying? So like, when I'm like, have you ever seen this? You know what I'm talking about? Or conceptually,
he does this all the time. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about.
But like, we have conversations like every time we get back together and we start doing this. And you're like, you just have such a perspective, and it's just like, it's not like alien.
You're like, it's just because I've seen some movies.
Yeah, it's like shit. It's not alien, bro.
No, I
know what I mean. It's just like, but it'll help.
You do have a different perspective than me, though.
Yeah.
You've seen different shit than me.
For sure.
Yeah.
But I want you to see, because there's a lot of these things that are. But I'm not surprised, because these dudes were me, and I was a young teenager that was interested in a lot of wild, like, fantasy sci-fi shit.
Yeah.
So it's like in their movie,
taking different elements.
Stuff. Because they're into the same shit I'm into.
Yeah.
Or I was. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But there's a lot of things in here. But as a whole, for like what this video means to me, like, this is the reason why I bring up The Matrix, because it's like this particular Ateez, whoever is their proctors and their protagonists. Are aware of these guys, and these guys are aware too. So it's just a constant. It's just out in the open. Yeah, like it's out in the open. Like, we got to figure this out.
To me, okay. So obviously, remember that Jung Ho was. Yeah. He had his broken leg. He can't do the things he wants to do. Right. And yet he is literally being forced to watch what?
He's watching all kinds of stuff.
No, in particular, he's watching people running, dogs running, horses running.
Yeah. He's being tortured.
He's being tortured, literally, because he can't do any of that currently.
Yeah.
Like Hong Joon, like having the thing like literally attached to his hand. He's trying to like he
can't put the phone down.
Can't put the phone down, and the phone is like literally saying all of these things, all these words that are obviously fears for him.
Right.
Alone and like what emptiness or whatever it is like. All of these things that.
But to me, to that, it's like those words don't have an effect, because I feel like his psyche's already been broken. That's why we see him in the mirror too. Like, he's lost his mind. You know what I mean? Like, they're trying to do something. They're trying to do something to him, but he's batshit crazy. Like, he's already like, he's gone. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, this shit that's happening, it's not even like disassociation. Like, he has a whole other personality going on that's running shit in his brain.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like, it's in the aspect of because the Matrix ultimately is a system of control in the movie, right? Yeah. And like the concept of it, like Morpheus and all of them, they talk about the red pill or the blue pill. You take the blue pill, you fucking stay in the Matrix. You take the red pill, you wake up in the real world, you see what's going on. Right. But it gets deeper as the movie progresses, because it's not just like, oh, we live in this computer simulation shit. There's actually deeper shit going on, that there's like contracts that have been made on behalf of humanity, and it hasn't been the first Matrix. Neo's not the first one. Like, there's a thing that keeps happening, because they call like Neo the anomaly, but anomaly means like something that's random and unassociated and never will ever happen again. Yeah. But for every Matrix, there's been a Neo. There has been an anomaly, but there has been some that like got in cahoots with the robots, and they're just like, yep, this is the best thing for humanity. There's other ones that were just like, nah, I'm gonna try to fight for the people and all this. And there's like computer programs that like AI or whatever become sentient, and they want to help the humans do their thing. And there's some that like want to help both the robots and the humans, so they kind of work on behalf of. But there's also like stories of the Neos that, like, for Keanu Reeves' version that we see, is kind of like a mixture of, there's one Neo that just wanted his girlfriend that was in the Matrix. So he was like, oh yeah, that's cool, like, I get it, like, this is probably what's best for humanity, but I just want to go back and be with my family, or can I wake them up? And they're like, nah, you can't do that shit. But there's, in the Animatrix, is a mini series of like, take the pills, right? Take the blue pill, you stay. You take the red pill. It's a program. It makes you wake up into the real world. But in the Animatrix, they have a story, and they introduce this character in the second movie. They call him the Kid or whatever. He wakes up from the Matrix on his own accord. Like, he sees, without taking the pill.
Interesting.
Yeah. He jumps off a building. That's the like illusion that they used. But he did something totally like different that no one has ever experienced before. And it's like there's a lot of kind of like that semblance in here. But in there's also another story of like a guy, literally he was like a runner, like an Olympic runner. He tried to run out of the Matrix, like break the construct of his physical body.
Interesting.
It's crazy. So like when I see a lot of the things that are happening in this video, it's like they're running and they're fighting for their life, and it's going against the system, and the system's like trying to keep them in check directly.
Right.
It's not like
all those people like rushing them.
And like in this particular world, like they're stuck, and it's just them against them. There's no other things happening, and there's different type of like tactics and warfare that they've implemented on those people, and they're trying to escape, but it's ultimately like a system of control. That's the basics of like the whole entirety of this video.
These
like
people
my
trying to keep them
keep
them under control,
and they're fighting every way that they can.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we're seeing
like
the toll
even
that
this one, like when San's like running, but yet it's like he's like running in place or running backwards. Like he can't. Yeah. You know, like missing family, like behind, missing, afraid, alone, family. Yeah.
And like getting old boy in the bed, can't walk and run, and they're like torturing him. Like in Clockwork Orange, the main character Alex, when he gets captured.
This like contraption.
Not even this contraption, but like the torture itself. Like in Clockwork Orange, like they do like the crazy like psychedelic like psycho torture of him watching all these things. But
they keep his eyes open like with like stuff that looks similar to that almost.
But that isn't the torture for him. It's that he has to experience all these things, but he loves Beethoven. So they play Beethoven. That's the real like torture. But on the outside,
playing Beethoven while he's watching all this horrible thing, so it ruins it for him.
Yeah. Because he himself is a sociopath. So he was doing all this wild thing, not thinking about it, but they had been watching him for such a long time. They figured out, like, we know how to crack this kid. Because they tried doing everything, so they're just like, we're going to just do the things that he loves. And he talks about it, like, as he's having, like, the narration while it's happening in that movie. And that's why, like, when he's on the phone and his personality's in the mirror, that's kind of like what's happening in A Clockwork Orange, because he's just like, I can't believe they did this. That it's like not Johann Sebastian. That's what he says when he's watching all this crazy things, and they're trying to break his soul pretty much. But they start playing Beethoven, and the character, we hear the narration, he's just like, not Johann Sebastian. Like, they could have played anything. Like, they're watching me, like, all the trauma that I've caused, like, that's nothing. I live that every day. But now they're attaching it to something that he's loved. It's a deeper level of, like, psychological torture. Similar to this stuff. But then there's also, like, Akira shit going on. Like, Tetsuo, the main character, is one of the main characters in there, where he can, like, use his psychokinesis as a weapon, but he doesn't know how to use it, and it's like a defense mechanism, and it's him, like, trying to figure it out. The people are trying to help him, I guess. But there's a lot of those allegories and metaphors that I've noticed in this particular video, too. And it's just them. That's what I think is really cool. That it's just them and whoever these goons are that they're fighting.
Like, what are these watches? Is there, like, a way to track them, you think?
Well, and that's the thing. Like, I feel like how everyone, like, with the chromer, what is the chromer? The chromer's ultimately a clock. It's ultimately a watch. You know what I mean? So it's like, there has to be entities in every, because trying to figure out, because the chromer's what's in the center of all of this. So like, I feel like in this dimension specifically, they know there has to be like parts missing, but they have a version of that technology. And they're like utilizing it in some way, somehow. So it's like them wearing the watches, is it to keep them in place?
Is it, so you think that's maybe this very version's chromer?
No, maybe that chromer's broken. And
we have like, seen broken chromers.
Yeah, and I think this is like a way.
Actually, the chromer was broken in the last video. The end of the last video was a broken chromer.
So it's like in this particular one, the watch movie symbolized like the closest that they got, and this is like now a pocket dimension. So whatever happens here doesn't affect anything. Because like if the chromer is the center, and we've touched on that, way back. In terms of, like, the chromer is the most important thing.
Yeah, because it helps them travel from dimension to dimension.
Right.
Yeah.
So, like, in this particular dimension, maybe their chromer's destroyed, and they have a version closest to it that they could make.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And this is why, like, this is, like, separate. It's happening.
Is that why these glitches are happening? Because I think this is all Maybe that one is, but that looks like as well.
Right.
So it's, like, all of these, like, like... Why are all these... Because that's definitely and that's
Yeah, but it could also be like a remnant of another one.
And who's that? Is that also
Yeah. There could be like... the one that came back is passing off the information.
But hold on a second. All of them are except for the one... Unless this is a different version.
Yeah,
is this a different version of from a different dimension.
Or if it goes back to that other one, like that other one where they're like in the bookcase and they're on a scavenger hunt, and we can see that one dimension
they're both in the same place at the same time, but in different dimensions.
But if it's the power of the chroma that allows them to do that, and if the chroma had been destroyed in this particular world, or if it's been altered, he could be trapped in that in between.
I think it is. Look at him; he's glitching,
and he's trapped in the in between.
He's glitching.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah.
And they may not even see it, you know?
And that's why at the end, he's trying to figure out what it is. Mm-hmm. If you see at the end, where is it? He sees that hoodie on the stage lying there. Yeah. And he goes to like, and then, in this one too, Sangwa covers Yeosang's watch, if I'm not wrong. Yeah. Oh, and it's like saying different things. Yeah. Obey. I don't know what that says.
Something up. Time up.
Oh, yeah, time up, obey.
Money.
Yeah, I'm not sure. And then like Sangwa like covers the watch. Yeah. At least I think that's what's going on.
Right.
And then we see, I think it's the next scene, isn't it? Yeah, this one. That's the hoodie. It's like it's there. It's on the ground of the stage. You can see it. And he goes to grab it because he's like, what is this? Yeah. Like, where is this from? Mm-hmm. And like all of these like bugs just scatter out from it, which is also very fucking weird. Mm-hmm. I don't know what that's about, but that's creepy as fuck.
Yeah.
And then now there's all these bugs here, these ants here on his screen all of a sudden. And obviously he's pissed. Yeah, anyway. That's such an interesting scene there. This is just such a cool music video, I think.
I feel like they're like in a pocket dimension. Like they're trapped. Like something went wrong here.
Yeah.
And they're just kind of stuck in this loop.
And they're all like literally like, like screaming, trying to
escape, and they can't.
Yeah. God, I love seeing them like when they full on their acting chops get put into shit. I don't know. I thought this was a really cool one.
Yeah, this one's really cool.
I feel like their Japanese MVs usually have a decent amount of storyline to it. Yeah. Like more like direct.
Yeah.
I feel like they're normal MVs. It's like you have your MV, but like there's a lot of other stuff kind of going on too. Yeah. But I feel like the Japanese MVs are more direct with like storyline in that way. Right. I'm not sure. But yeah. Anyway. Love this one. I thought it was fun. So
this one's really cool.
We checked this one out.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like, question though. Do you think that Ateez, if you don't know, if you have not watched our Ateez journey, you should probably go watch it because we're about to talk. We've probably talked about a bunch of stuff that you're like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah.
This whole time. You should probably watch it so you know what the hell we're referencing because we're referencing stuff we've already talked about in the past reactions that we've done together. There's a playlist for it. It's the Ateez journey playlist with Carlos. So anyway, do you think this Ateez is the same Ateez from the warehouse?
When they got attacked by that robot? By that big robot? That's happened in that video.
Oh, right? That's right. That did happen where the big robot came in at the end of that one VCR or whatever it was.
Yeah.
I forgot about that part.
Yeah.
Possibly. And is that...
Well, that's what I'm saying.
And then did they capture them and now they're here?
Well, that's what I'm saying. So it's like... Because that's when I think
they're the same.
That's when I like leaned in super hard on the man in white is one of them, and he's like a Terminator. You know what I mean? Like he's a Terminator. He thinks
the man in white is one of them in a different from a different dimension.
But I think there's things that are happening. I think there's something that we're not aware of. There's something in the whole Ateez story that we're not aware of this conflict, and we see what, and they do a good job. Like EXO did a similar thing where a lot of their story videos didn't have a lot of like nuggets of story, but it gave you another context of the bigger picture as a whole.
Right.
And I feel like this is like one of those things that Ateez is doing as well.
Well, I feel that like, because when you see certain like for instance, when you see certain MVs or when you see like a storyline, video or whatever, like when you see all of the what am I trying to say? All of the stories, of each individual member. Like you see San, who, matriculates a lot. He has to move a lot. You see Mingi, he's always putting his headphones in and trying to kind of shut out the world around him. You see Jongho with the brace on his leg. You see Yoonho, who appears to have lost his brother in a car accident. Just little things like that where they all come together in the warehouse. So, but sure, we see that. That's really the only version of that Ateez we've ever seen in those like
outside
videos.
Of the Halazia, outside of
which
all
is
the
the
wild
Inception,
shit. Yeah.
which is the Inception MV, by the way. Yeah. But it's kind of like, okay, so but what happened to that with that dimension? Right. Ateez, what happened to them?
Right.
And I feel like, but we also got an additional MV where we see like one of those like robot android guardians. Yeah. Those busting into
the warehouse.
I almost forgot all about it. Like busting in and blowing up like the hole out the side of the warehouse and busting into it. Did he bust into the warehouse? Did he capture them? Is this them? I feel like this is them because we're getting Mingy putting in his earphones in this. We're getting, Jung Ho being tortured by watching everybody be active and running and he can't do shit. Stuff like that. We're getting little elements of storyline in this from that storyline, I should say, in this. Yeah. So I feel that maybe it is. Maybe the android guardians busted in the warehouse. They captured them. Mm-hmm. They're literally holding them so where they can't make any progress in what needs to happen. They're holding them here. They're torturing them basically here.
Or they're trying to do their best because they're obviously like putting up a fight as well. So they're not laying down and taking it quietly.
No.
You know what I mean?
So, and I don't think
they're not being disposed of either. Right. So it's one of those things to where like we've seen a broken chromer. Are they in like a pocket dimension as I call it? Yeah. Are they stuck? Are they out of the game? They're sidelined, but they're still alive. They're still active. They still have the desire to do whatever they want to do.
The android guardian could have taken them to a different pocket dimension.
Or like it could have or what happened in the fight when we figure out what the chromer is and what the chromer is. Period. There's no reason to get into like what if and how whatever the chromer is, and we've seen a broken one. What happens in a world that doesn't have a chromer?
And they're just using these like watch. Is that why all the glitching's happening? Because the chromer's broken.
Well, that's the thing.
It's not working as smoothly as it should.
Or it's just if the chromer is the thing that links all the universes together, right? Because we don't know.
Yeah, that's what it seems like.
But if in theory, if that's what it is, and if your chromer, we've always seen chromers being introduced, not always, but majority of the time when we see the chromer, it's being introduced and handed off to another person. Like you need this. This is the tool that you need. This is the tool that you need to like make shit happen. But what happens when that thing gets broken? But they also use the chromer, whatever power it is, to communicate with each other if it can't be like directly.
Well, didn't the chromer get broken and that's why Yosan got stuck?
We don't know.
Separated?
That
we know Yosan got stuck and separated, but was it because the chromer was broken and that, or
we don't know
because he like sacrificed himself, right? So the others could escape.
Right, and that's the information that he has. You know what I mean? Like based on whatever they've learned and whatever they've gathered in their world or their universe.
Oh my God! I forgot. I have a new set of albums, so we have a new diary entry.
Oh, that's cool.
I totally forgot about that. I'm like, oh, that's right. We'll have to get to that in another video. Yeah. But I completely forgot about that.
But I feel like
answers.
But if we see like the watch going off and they're playing that Go game or whatever, and they're wearing their watches. But it could also be like a system of like.
Sorry, I didn't mean
no. Well, it might tie into what you're gonna say. Like if they're wearing that and they know that they're being observed and things like that, there's members of the group that are just like fuck it. Like I'm gonna try to run out of here. Yeah. Or I'm gonna fight all of y'all. Like that's what I'm personally gonna do. Yeah. While the other ones, they're all like.
We need to play the game.
Yeah.
Because we're being
watched. We need to just figure it out. Like, we need to figure it out, and some people are more reactive than they are proactive. So it's like it's showing that dynamic of their personalities as a whole. But then, like, again, like with the glitching one, when they were communicating, was like, that would happen. They were going to go hand off the chromer in the warehouse. The Terminator showed up with the android, broke the chromer, and took them.
That's what I think possibly happened.
Or the world that they're in. Being that the robot showed up.
I think that he passed off the chromer properly. Right. Hong Jun was trying to gather everybody, and then
yeah. That's what But whatever happened, their chromer got something went wrong. You know what I mean?
No, we never saw their chromer get messed up.
But that's what I'm saying. So no. That's my question all in all together.
Oh, in general.
In general, is like how many chromers are there really? Are there multiple chromers?
I think there's multiple chromers.
But like what I was saying, like with the multiple dimensions, like there's events that happen in every timeline that have to happen, right? Well, but we experience the time isn't uniform. So like there's people coming from the future is their present and they're going back to their past in the timeline to pass it off to another group of ATs. But in theory, that once you start opening those doors and you're separating, you're just handing off the same chromer at different places in time and space.
I think it's different chromers only because we've seen a broken chromer twice already.
That's what I'm trying to tell you, Anitra. It's like this, like.
But that's a chromer in a different dimension.
No, there's only one chromer, so time is laid out, right? if this was a chromer and you figure it out in your world, right? You're trying to hand this one chromer off and it gets broken, but you hand it off to somebody. When they open up another dimension and go off, they're taking the essence of that chromer somewhere else. So that chromer, so their ultimate, whatever, if that chromer is like divine, right?
Right.
And it's its own entity, it's universal energy, it's just being broken and destroyed and transferred in different timelines, so that ceases to exist. Like, those guys are caught in this loop. This Ateez that we just watched is caught. There is no end. There's no beginning.
That's what it seems like.
This is it. They're caught in this loop forever.
And there's other Ateez trying to break them out, and that's why we see the glitchy numbers.
Or they were trying to communicate, and that particular essence got captured. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So he's like a remnant. He's just stuck in between space. But the chromer was able for him to get in and out. Because it's like when we're watching that Ateez video when they're doing the scavenger hunt, we see at one point in time where it's their overlapping time. You know what I mean? So we see them doing one thing in their timeline, but at the end of that video, they're in the same place at the same time. They hand everything off. So he probably got stuck in between. He got stuck in between, and that chromer that has the power got broken. Locked them in that time. They're locked in that timeline. In the essence, they're all locked in there. They can't get in. Nothing can get in or out.
Interesting.
That's what I'm saying. But
they're trying to.
Right. They're trying to, but it doesn't mean that they are going to. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I know. You never know.
But so you do think that these are the same people though?
Yeah.
As the warehouse.
Yeah.
I do too.
Yeah,
okay.
For sure.
Yeah. I do
but what I'm saying is, like, I don't believe there's multiple chromers. It's just the same chromer being handed off at different points in time, because time doesn't exist when you're moving through different dimensions.
But if we've seen it broken in two different breaks though.
No, I'm about to get super wild on you right now.
Oh God.
When people die, right? They say that your brain releases all the serotonin and dopamine. So for like the last 3 minutes of your conscious life, like, you see your life flash before your eyes, or it's the most euphoric experience that you have, so you can like transition, right?
Okay.
I have this thing in my brain to where it's just like when your life flashes before your eyes on your deathbed, how do you know that you're not in the flash? That this life that you feel and you experience right now, how do you know you're not already dead? And this is just the cycle. This is just the flash that you're living. Or a caveat to that, what if this is the flash of somebody else's?
This is a slow ass flash.
But it's no.
If this is my flash right now,
yeah,
that's slow ass flash.
But see, when you're dying, you're moving from one dimension to another. You're crossing over to something else.
Yeah.
And time is not real. It's irrelevant. So like I said, we could already be dead, and this is the flash.
I don't agree with that.
No. The only reason why I bring it,
because my brain can't understand
and that's
that
fine.
Concept.
Smooth brain.
So
I get it.
Bitch.
Not my fault. It's not my problem. So I'm trying to explain to you. So that's what I'm trying to explain to you. That's why I think there's only like one chromer in that essence of like, just there is this one like super like God particle divine thing. It's the only one that there is. So it's being transferred and handed off, and all those guys aren't living Monday through Sunday, right?
Right.
And when they're time traveling and they're jumping through the dimensions, it's not the same time. They're not in the same era. It's a different person. It can be 10 years in the future for someone, but it can be like 10 years in the past for the person that's trying to get there. So it's like we have people that have seen the whole war through, the whole conflict through. They saw how it ended and they didn't like it. They got the chromer, so now they're going back in time.
Right.
But they're not going back in their timeline. They're going in different dimensions.
I
Do you understand that?
Yeah.
So when you start opening these doors and going to different dimensions, you're handing off all these things. So if that thing is broken, that version of that thing is broken, because we don't know anything of how the other side works. And this is, and then I'm not trying to bring it up and like get too sidelined on it. That was my biggest beef with y'all EXO fans and the Red Force. You had an opinion. They were the bad guys, and that was established. But I was like, you guys aren't. No, you're wrong. You're wrong. And I feel like the way that you want it to be and how it isn't how the story is going to be played out.
Yeah.
But in your guys' defense, the EXO story got retconned so many times in between, and it got convoluted. Yeah. So it's like
it did.
So like
it still is.
In this aspect of what's happening with the chromer, I don't think there's multiple chromers. We're just seeing it being handed off at different times. But like I said, when you die and this flash of your life flashing before your eyes is happening right now, that's what we're seeing. The chromer's broken. It's broken. Mm-hmm. But they're just catching up some way, somehow, because we don't know what the chromer is. We know it's not human made. It's something beyond and it's something divine. So just because the chromer has been broken doesn't mean that all is lost, obviously, because we see successful Ateez holding it down. But now we're also seeing like the side of what happens when that shit gets caught up in the loop. So technically, try to make as much sense as I can, the Ateez that we just saw are far future Ateez. They're they're one of the ones that it was the worst case scenario. So they're trying to figure out their way back.
Okay.
But for their particular timeline, it didn't work. They're stuck.
Yeah, they're stuck. Their timeline isn't working. They're in a loop.
But if you had tried to make sense of it,
as opposed to Crazy Form, Ateez timeline, they were successful.
Yeah, and they're tearing shit up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but then you also have like the Inceptions one where there's overlap.
No, I think these are the Inception.
No. I'm just saying but that Ateez that we see that interacts with them, they're a different version of Ateez. They're not from the same universe. That's what I'm saying. You know what I mean? So, worst case scenario, Inception Ateez, they're in the main timeline, farthest in the future. Their shit got wrecked. Whatever happens to them is what kicked off. Like, we got to start making a difference.
You don't think Halazia is the furthest in the future?
No, Halazia is a timeline that is further in the future.
Yeah.
But it could also be the OG that started everything for them to start trying to go back to different dimensions.
Because everything's so far destroyed.
Yeah.
They're like, we have to...
And then Inception, Ateez,
and remember,
who we just saw.
in Halazia, at one point, is actually sitting inside of a gigantic Cromer.
Yeah.
And then, but also at the very end, you have San with the thing falling, like, the ding on his head. And, like, so it's like, clearly some shit went down. So it's like, what did that... Yeah. What ripple did that cause? Like, what happened?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So like moving, so if Halazia Ateez is if they're the ones that like we got the technology, we got to make something different. Yeah, right? They're the Kyle Reese and John Connor from Terminator 1.
Okay.
They're sending back their dads to get their mom pregnant to save their future because it's fucked, right?
Right.
They have the big Cromer there, so they've been able to like make a version of it that they can pass off, but they don't understand it because that Cromer's probably holding their world together too. Like that's their only defense of what's holding it down, so they can't invest everything and send them all back.
Right.
So they've got another version of it, and they're kind of testing the waters. Inception Ateez, Not Okay Ateez, those guys are probably the first people they reached out to because that was like closest to their timeline.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it didn't work. So they've like figured it out though in that time.
And isn't the only other time we saw glitchy Ateez was in Halazia?
Yeah.
Have we seen them glitch like that in any other MV?
Not like glitch like this, like in the traditional sense of glitch.
The way I saw it here was the same as it was in Halazia.
Yeah, but they do a lot of like duality reflections in all their videos. Yeah, you know what I mean? But I think that's also to show like when the connection is strong and they got it figured out. But I think that's to bring more like clarity of like this Inception.
How else can you visually make get your point across of what's happening? Right. You have to do that somehow, right? So that's, I think, how they're doing it. Right.
And then also too, like who they were sending back at a time, because it's like we see like groups to groups talking to each other. We see like just one to one talking to each other. So it's like who they were sending back, and they were trying to figure out how far back do we need to go? Yeah. Who do we need to talk to? Who's actually going to be viable? Like what can we do? Like, what's going to make sense? What's going to help us? Who are going to be the best versions of us to get it? Right. You know what I mean? Right. So it's like, we're seeing multiple timelines happening. So we started kind of like in the middle, which is in the beginning of of somebody's story in A. But as we moving forward, we're seeing people from the far future, far past, and there's like overlap, and there's people that like, because again, like how Inception is. And when it ends with the robot, it's like, where the fuck did that come from? Yeah. With all the shit that was going on, all that shit that was happening to all of them in their life, and then the end of the world happens with some robot shit? Like, come on, bro. Like, that's the shittiest life anyone can ask for.
Android Guardians.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But, again, that's like, I don't know. That's like, and that's what I'm saying. Maybe the man in white. In terms of, like, they dub these Guardians, but these journals are from a perspective of, like, what we consider the original timeline.
Yeah. You know I can't wait to read the newest diary journal, just because I'm so curious to see what... The diary journals are the way that we get confirmed information. Right. Like, we can speculate all day long on these MVs, but it's the confirmed information that we ultimately want, because that's going to give us answers to it's the main like underlying story, right? That's what's tying them together. Yeah. So it's exciting. I can't wait to hear it, to read the. I have not read any of them, by the way. Cool. So I'll be reading them with you. Yeah. Because I don't know any of them.
But I think yes, these are the Inception Ateez. I do agree, and and I believe like they're stuck. Yeah. But but the world that they're in too, like there's nobody there. It makes sense. Yeah, and there's no one there. It's just them and this opposing force, and they're
just them. in the people that seem to be holding them there.
But see, that's the thing. Are they like really holding them there? Or are they torturing themselves because they're lost? You know what I mean? Like they're in a world to where it's just like your leg still can't be broken, bro.
It didn't look broken. He didn't have a cast on.
But I'm saying it's like it's the psychological thing. Like, who's really torturing him because he can run and escape if he wants to.
It seems like it.
You know what I mean? And the other one,
like
he
was tied to the bed, and he wasn't wearing a cast anymore.
Yeah, and that old boy, who's at the captain, right?
Yeah.
He's got the fucking hand shit going on.
Yeah.
But he winds up like having a super like psychotic break, but not even psychotic in terms of mental, like a psychic break.
Yeah.
Because where
split.
He brings the phones up. Like he's got telekinesis at this point.
Right,
like he's like in the mirror, he's just like, bro, we're gonna break this. You know what I mean? So it's one of those things to where it's like there's a lot of things of like who's holding them captive. Or is it just one of those things like there's a famous like design of a prison?
Oh, that's what I was gonna ask you. Sorry, continue.
No, go ahead. There's a design of a prison, right, where it's like very few guards, but where the guards are stationed, they can see all the prisoners. So even there's like only 12 guards, they're watching hundreds of prisoners because they have the high ground, but they don't have to do anything. The prisoners just know that they're being watched and they're scared because they don't know what they can do and where they're coming from. They just know that they're being watched. Right. Same thing like with the watches and the phones and the screens.
Yeah.
No one's torturing them. They're torturing themselves because they believe that they're trapped.
It looks like Yosung in Song where we're just playing a game.
Yeah.
It's like, but there's all these cameras on them.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was going to say that part where like Sungwa's looking up and it's like there's like a clock on the ceiling.
Yeah.
But then it stops like right at his eye. What is that about?
That's what I'm saying. It's all psychological, bro. Like there's nobody there.
Yeah.
But I think that's part of like again, but see, this is what again, they have their own timeline, they have their own laws and their own like thing in their universe, and that's fine. But that's why like it leans back to like the white Terminator Guardian guy.
Yeah.
If he is a part of it all, like they've tried killing him, they've tried destroying him, but he shows up no matter what, and he shows up everywhere.
Well, he hasn't shown up since Bouncy and Crazy Form.
Yeah.
That's the last time we saw them, and it seemed as though they got him.
But did they? But that's the thing.
I don't know.
But that's the thing.
We see the bullet, and then it kind of flashes and
Anitra,
goes away.
like we have to remember, there's more Ateez. It doesn't mean because he can move through dimensions all he wants.
Yeah.
So we can't assume that we got him.
No,
you don't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if there's multiple of them,
world they did.
If there's multiple of him, of them, there has to be multiple of him.
Yeah.
Or there's not. And he's like an OG. He comes from the old world. He was able to like utilize. How do we know he didn't like kick everything off?
Well, if it said Android Guardians in the diary,
it did.
Expert, there has to be more than one.
No, but remember in the diary they also described them as something different.
Yeah.
And then we see the video correlating to that particular story. Well, not the video. How it's described. It's tied to the video of how the Ateez guy version of Ateez was present, and they're talking. He was seeing himself, and he's trying to relay information off. He was like, "Yo, this is what it is. This is what's going on. This is what we have to do." But we also see in that journal, we hear like the narration from like the little kids.
Yeah.
The little kids that are present. So the narration is from what they're observing, and it's also jumping to like the narration of what the characters when they interact with each other as well too. So there's a lot of things happening at the same time.
Facts.
So they call him a guardian, but we don't know. After he comes back and tells them this is why I'm here and this is what we need to do. How did he not? Maybe he stayed back and he was just like, now that I got them moving, I have to figure something out as well, because this is the farthest I've ever gotten, and this is the farthest to the future that I've gotten. So while they're out here trying to fix it and meet me this way, now that I'm here, what can I do? Because my job isn't done. Right. It's implied because he's wounded and all this other stuff, and that was like his dying thing, but it's not explicitly detailed what happens after that conversation, what happens to him. And that's what the journals are for, right?
Yeah, I hope
so.
You
know what I'm saying?
I hope so.
But that's what I'm saying. Like when they introduce things like that, that would acknowledge that there's multiple dimensions, because he was confounded. Like, why? Who are you? You're me. I know I'm you.
Yeah.
You ain't got time for that shit.
Yeah,
I'm dying. I'm bleeding. I'm dying. I've got dire information for all of us. You need to be quiet and you need to listen, because I don't know if I can have if anybody else can make it this far type shit.
Okay, you know what it just reminded me of? In Halazia, when Mingy's like, who are you? It's just me, myself, and who are you?
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Sorry, when you said who are you, that's totally what it reminded me of.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to end this one. I love when we start yapping about all the craziness.
On that fucking wild shit.
I love it so much. Anyway, I hope you guys are enjoying more discovering of the Ateez storyline with Carlos. All kinds of crazy ideas and hypotheses.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. So I hope you guys are enjoying it. Please let us know your thoughts on this MV and what it all means down in the comments below. Any theories you might have maybe read from other people, that'd be great. But yeah, let us know your thoughts, and we love you guys. We will see you guys in the next video. Bye.